Welcome back to Next Gen Console Watch, our show following everything happening with the latest gaming hardware. I'm Daemon Hatfield, and this week I'm joined by Max Scoville, host of IGN's PlayStation podcast, Podcast Beyond.
Hello, hello.
And from IGN's Xbox podcast, Podcast Unlocked, Destin Legarie joins us today.
Hi, everybody.
And this week we're talking about handhelds. Now, the Nintendo Switch really kind of ushered in a silver age of handheld gaming almost 8 years ago. A few years later, you've got the Steam Deck, which is introducing a little bit more of a higher-end corner of the market. And then today, there are a lot of Steam Deck competitors that are very competent, and there are a lot of really great choices for handheld gaming today. That's why I raised an eyebrow a couple weeks ago when Xbox finally confirmed it is working on its own handheld, but it's years away. Kind of seems like it's missing the boat. The handheld gaming revolution is really happening right now, and there are lots of great options already. And this week now, we also learned that Sony is now also reportedly working on their own handheld, wants to get back into the handheld market. So this comes from a report from Bloomberg. It's apparently, again, years away, won't be released for some time, but it wants to expand the market for PlayStation games with a handheld console that plays PS5 games. So this sounds like it would be a portable PS5 rather than its own device with a unique game library. Sony's last handheld was the Vita, released in 2011, but only seriously supported by Sony for a couple years, I think. So, Max, I'll begin with you. What was your initial reaction to the news that Sony is also reportedly working on its own portable handheld gaming device that is years away?
I'm happy to hear it. I always love the Vita. It's a wonderful little machine. Again, its sort of proprietariness of it all was its downfall. Having very expensive memory cards and not really getting proper support. But if Sony can come out with a handheld that takes games you already have or games that are already coming out and just makes them portable, that's great. I hear what you're saying about this being late to the party, but I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic that there'll still be a demand to play games on the go, and presumably hardware will be cheaper, or parts will be cheaper at that point. Maybe, knock wood. But yeah, I'm skeptical of it playing PS5 games, given that the PS5 is the biggest console they've ever made, and it's just this enormous boogie board of a machine. So how do you make that portable? Kind of baffling. Most recently they just took the PlayStation Portal, which was notably not quite a cloud streaming device, and basically made it so it can be, and which is pretty cool. It's sort of a step in that direction. I feel like the cloud streaming aspect of this all is kind of the elephant in the room, or kind of the thing that we're not, it's the missing link there, where obviously Microsoft has been pushing xCloud left and right. Sony has been, they've been toying with that for a while, ever since they bought Gaikai back like 10 years ago or something. But yeah, I mean, we hear handheld devices, and we think something that's running games natively, but that's not necessarily true. This could very easily be a more advanced, PlayStation Portal. I don't know. Again, I want this to be cool. I want this to be great. I'm very excited to see what it is. The fact that Nintendo managed to disrupt the console handheld space by making them one and the same, and has suddenly created this sort of arms race of different little portable gaming doodads. I'm very happy about that. That's awesome. I'm excited to see what the Switch 2 is. I'm excited to see what the Vita successor is, whatever you want to call it, the PS5 portable, and then whatever Microsoft's doing. I think it's all great. And yeah, I mean, they might be answers to questions that nobody was asking, but then again, I don't know. I want to see where it goes.
Destin, how about you? Are you feeling optimistic about a portable Xbox?
Yeah, I'm actually feeling pretty optimistic about both. And we're in a bit of an interesting situation where Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox are all talking about releasing a handheld. Now, PlayStation is the most trepidatious. They have said, at least the report says, that they're not necessarily going to release it. And it also gave us some insight into the history of the PlayStation Portal. Apparently, that device was originally going to be a handheld device, and then they sort of changed what it would be. So I'm curious, could there be an evolution of the Portal where it winds up being the portable device? And what does that ecosystem look like when compared to the Xbox handheld? Xbox has confirmed they're making a handheld. They have talked about services like Epic Game Store being available on their handheld. Of course, you would have access to Game Pass. You would be able to stream games. And they're also looking at the competition. Obviously, everybody would do that, but they're looking at the competition and saying, how can we make the best device we possibly can? And Phil Spencer, he uses a lot of portable devices. He talks about his ROG Ally, I believe, quite frequently. I'm really interested to see what his feedback is and what he winds up landing on in terms of what a cool piece of Xbox handheld hardware would be. I'm excited about all of the future handhelds, to be totally honest. I think it's a really interesting market for competition, and it's great to see PlayStation, Nintendo, and Xbox all getting in on the action.
Well, do you think both Sony and Xbox should go the way of Nintendo and just make one device that can also be handheld? You can play on your TV or take it on the go? Because otherwise, you're asking for Xbox fans and PlayStation fans to buy two different devices.
Well, my theory is they're going to release the portable device, and people who want a portable device will get that. I don't think they'll need to dock to any other device for either the PlayStation portable unit or the Xbox portable console. I don't think that's how it's going to work. I think they will have this device as an option for consumers, the same way that you can have a PC and play Steam games, or you can have a Steam Deck and play Steam games on the go. And they have been sort of alluding to the idea of having services like Steam on whatever this ends up being. So this could be more of a competitor for a wide variety of publishers, or at least a device where you're able to access more than ever before on Xbox's front. I think PlayStation would definitely lean into having their exclusive library available there. They have a lot of strong titles from the PlayStation 4 era, the PlayStation 5 era. Maybe we even get older consoles. I think it would be a very different device from what Xbox seems to be planning to do, as Xbox seems to be trying to tear down the walls, and PlayStation is keeping them up for the time being.
Max, how about you?
Oh man, I'm just thinking about what this device could be, and you look at Sony's track record for hardware, and again, that is, they are a consumer electronics company first and foremost, and they have a very long history of making portable devices, whether it's a transistor radio or the original Walkman. And I've always loved, like, the PSP, wonderful little thing. The UMD device was a very strange piece of media. Again, they also did the mini disc player, and then the Vita had these, little cartridges, which was really cool, and it tried a bunch of really ambitious stuff. And if you look at the form factor, the Vita was really kind of the proto Switch, in that it was the first one that had dual analog sticks, and it was a 16:9 screen that was vaguely HD, but then it also had front and rear touchscreen. It had cameras. It had a bunch of extra bells and whistles that didn't really need to be there. And I'm just sort of curious if Sony can not do that again. Like, if they're going to make a handheld device, if they can make something that, again, plays nice with others. I don't see it being like an answer to a Steam Deck or a ROG Ally. Like, it's going to be a PlayStation device first and foremost. But again, I hope that it's, hey, you've got this big, beautiful library full of PS4 games, PS3 games, PS Vita games, whatever the stuff you've bought for the last 15 years digitally, suddenly you can take that on the go. It would be really nice to have that option. I have no doubt in my mind that Xbox will absolutely nail that part of it. But again, Sony has they have a tendency to be like, we'd like to do things our way, and that's the way we're going to do things. And then we all kind of, maybe try to play ball, but it doesn't always go as expected.
I'm enjoying this old IGN footage.
It's right. It's
Greg Miller.
fascinating.
There's a chance I could have shot this, actually.
The Vita was great. Like, what a wonderful little machine. And it was, again, like, in the same way that the iToy was, like, it was successful, but it wasn't like a huge success. But it was motion controls before the Wii. And in the same way that the Vita was a handheld that had, shaky handily, I'll say, like, console quality graphics. But I remember playing, Uncharted Golden Abyss and being really impressed that it looked that good and played that good. And it wasn't quite on par with what you'd see on a PS3, but it was a step in that direction. And at that time, there was a very clear separation between what a handheld game looks like and what a console game looked like. And it was cool to see Sony kind of blurring those lines. So yeah, it'd be nice to see them dust off that department and put it back to work.
Greg loves the PlayStation Vita. He was ranting about it today. I just think it's funny to see this old footage too, Daemon. I just wanted to remark on it really quick.
These are the good old days of IGN. A lot of the comments I see on this story are people being skeptical that Sony will support, a new handheld device in the long run, given what happened with the Vita and more recently with PlayStation VR 2, which Sony doesn't seem interested in supporting at all. Is that a concern for you, Max?
Absolutely. No, there's a hubris that Sony has always had, which sometimes pays off and sometimes just completely backfires and leaves everybody with, throwing their hands up in exasperation. And PlayStation VR 2 has gotten basically no support. The most fun I've heard anyone having with it is suddenly connecting it to a PC and getting to go play over in that corner. Even just the PS5 Pro that just came out, it feels like this sort of, they made this thing and they said, here it is, buy it, and there's no effort to try to sell it. There's not really any, there's no carrot in front of the horse there. There's nothing sexy about it. I mean, it's a beautiful high powered console, but there's no like, okay, and it can play these great games. I'm hoping we get some games revealed sooner than later that suddenly make me want to buy a PS5 Pro. But yeah, like Sony's recent hardware, like I'm surprised the Portal took off as well as it did. Everyone I know who has one really likes it, but it also is such a bizarre half measure. And the thing that took me forever to wrap my head around is that it's not a portable device. Mm-hmm. It sounds like it. It's it's a PSP, acronym speaking, yep. But it's effectively a controller with a TV in it, which is a cool concept as well. But it's solving a completely different problem that a handheld would also solve, but in a very different way.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Destin, let's imagine it's 2 years from now. The Switch 2 is out. Maybe there's an upgraded Steam Deck. There's likely going to be even more great competitors to the Steam Deck. If you have a Nintendo Switch and a handheld gaming PC, pretty much all your portable gaming bases are covered. And that's when Xbox arrives and say, we have a handheld. What's their value proposition? How do they take market share away from a handheld gaming space that's already pretty saturated and already has lots of happy customers?
My theory is that their play is going to be creating a handheld that is basically a Windows machine. They need to figure out how to make Windows run on it, a light version of Windows run on it where it functions very easily, and allowing users to be able to install Xbox games, access their Xbox Game Pass games, access their existing Xbox library. That's always a big plus for anybody looking to get into the handheld market. And then additionally, if you have services like Steam, if you have Epic Games Store on there, then PlayStation games will be available on this Xbox device. You can already play PlayStation games on your Steam Deck, but if you want all of the games, you could potentially get this Xbox device where PlayStation games would come, sure, at a delay, but they're going to come to PC via Steam, and that means they would eventually come to this handheld. A lot of people disagree with my theory. They say that it would never happen, that PlayStation would block it. That is my theory. That is what I'm sticking with, and I don't really see how that would be possible if it is a Windows machine that is sold as an Xbox. And given the recent marketing campaign, this is an Xbox, it does seem like they're moving more into the idea of Xbox as an ecosystem, something that they have been pushing for years with Xbox Game Pass, with cloud streaming. Their Activision deal was blocked because of their cloud streaming service in the UK. It ended up going through, as we all know, but I would be curious to see how they utilize this ecosystem that they have built over the last decade or so to launch a handheld and make that value proposition.
Mm-hmm. Well, I agree with you both that it's exciting times. It's healthy overall for the industry to have handheld gaming back in a big way. I think before the Switch came out, everyone sort of assumed handheld gaming had kind of winded down and had been completely replaced by mobile gaming and iPhone gaming, but the Switch proved that wasn't true, and now there's just lots of great options for people to play games on the go. And I am also excited to see what PlayStation and Xbox have in store in that space as well. Let's check in with the results of last episode's poll. Of course, we're recording this on Thanksgiving week here in the U.S. Black Friday sales are happening all week long now. We asked you last week, what are you hunting for this Black Friday? And the winning result was a new TV. Not too surprisingly. My TV I got on a Black Friday sale a couple of years ago. That would be followed by Lego sets, gaming PC, then a PS5, then a VR headset, and then a Nintendo Switch OLED. Perhaps not too surprising, given everyone already has one or two Nintendo Switches already, but it's a little bit surprised to see VR headset even in beating the Switch in there. So this week's poll, we want to know which of the upcoming first-party platform handhelds are you most excited for? Switch 2, handheld Xbox, handheld PlayStation. Let us know in the comments. Make sure to vote at IGN.com the day this episode goes live. We'll share the results with you next week. And that's going to do it for this edition of Next Gen Console Watch. Happy holidays to everyone here in the U.S. And if you're not in the U.S., I hope you just have a great weekend anyway. Thank you to both Max and Destin. Thank you to everyone working behind the scenes here in our LA studio to make this episode possible. We are all thankful for you out there tuning into the show every week. My name is Daemon. We'll be back next week with more of the latest gaming hardware news. See you then.